Hello, everyone. Welcome to Balanced Act. Thank you for joining us again for another episode. Today, I got a special guest, my sister, a beautiful, wonderful spiritual practitioner, Laura Thomas. Hey, Laura, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's just be natural about this. Let's conversate. But definitely wanted to talk to you because, you for the last several years, I've watched you through your life. And I know you did it through a spiritual practice. And it's really, really impressed me and fascinated me. And so what I want to talk about today is about basically daily practice. Like, what are we doing in order to allow ourselves to better ourselves on a daily basis? So, like, what are some things that you would say are important to your daily practice that helps you live a better life and be more connected to your spirit?
As of now, what I do, because I think that it's an evolving thing, but as of now, when I first wake up in the morning, my first words to myself are positive affirmations. I have a certain set of affirmations that I say, even if I wake up 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and I'll say those things to myself for that day. And then again, when I wake up for the day, then it's very important to me to either listen to some binaural beats for either, depending on what's going on, it could be binaural beats for healing, physical, mental, emotional, whatever's going on, or whatever binaural beats would help me for what's happening. What are the other ones that I listen to? Maybe for...
I listen to them too. I got into listening to them. I listened to this one spiritual teacher named Gabby Bernstein. She's a lady from New York, about my age. And she introduced me to binaural beats. And it's super relaxing. And I understand it's supposed to activate both sides of your brain, both hemispheres of your brain as you listen to them.
I'm not sure about... I know, yes, I agree with that from what I've learned. I couldn't explain it to you. What I know about it, though, is that it's very powerful. Whatever your intention is, whatever intention you set when you're listening to the binaural beats, those binaural beats will help you manifest whatever your intention is.
Okay.
Like I said, if I listen to it for healing, physical healing, mental, emotional, it helps. I believe it helps. And I believe that when we believe something, when our mind sets an intention to heal or to do whatever, that it's going to happen, and it does happen. I've witnessed it for myself, and so many other people say that it works like that for them too. Besides binaural beats, I do yoga. Now, yoga could be just being in one yoga position for me. It depends on what I am working on, because I am over 50. So even though I'm physically fit and active, sometimes
don't look a day over it, by the way.
Sometimes there's aches
that
and pains that you have to deal with. So I'll do a yoga position for that. And also there's just certain comfortable yoga positions for me that help me to get in that meditation, peaceful zone, that quiet zone, to get myself centered and just have a feeling of peace for the day. This is all in the morning. And sometimes it could be for a few minutes. Sometimes it could be for an hour or more, because I just go with the flow. So my affirmations, binaural beats, yoga, tea. I drink tea in the morning and throughout the day, but definitely tea in the morning. I don't necessarily eat breakfast. I eat maybe 12 hours after I went to sleep. So if I went to sleep or went to bed around 10 or 11, I'm not going to be ready for breakfast until 11 the next day.
Okay.
And so in the morning, I'll have tea either way. Even if I don't eat, I'm having turmeric tea. And turmeric tea, I think, contributes to overall well-being. I know it does. I've been drinking it for about 10 years. Next year will be 10 years.
Wow, 10 years consecutively.
Yep.
Wow, that's impressive. So with tea, do you think it's the turmeric tea specifically that helps you spiritually, or is it any tea?
Different teas, but turmeric tea is one that I drink in the morning for sure. That's my tea in the morning. Sometimes I add ginger, sometimes I add honey. But turmeric tea, I'm gonna have turmeric tea, and it's the powder kind. It's powder into the water. It's not the tea bag.
Yeah, that's you get
I like
more
it
of the-
potent. I like it
Right.
potent. It's not a lot, not too much where you have a gunk of powder in the bottom of your cup, but just a little bit, like maybe not even a half a teaspoon for a regular mug, a regular cup size. So those things that's what I do definitely every morning.
Okay. Now, how do you feel that helps you in your day-to-day life?
Those things help me feel centered. Those things help me feel healed, because I think healing is an ongoing process. So, one more thing, while I'm doing all this there's prayer. I have prayer. People call it prayer, but I call it affirmations. So while I'm doing the binaural beats, I'm laying in my yoga position, and I'm saying my affirmations, sometimes out loud, sometimes not out loud. But I have certain affirmations aside from the first ones that I say when I first wake up. It could be 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I have 4 affirmations, 4 sentences I say every morning, and then while I'm doing the binaural beats, when I wake up later for the day, I'm saying my other affirmations, which it's like a whole page full of affirmations that I say every day.
Now, for anyone who's listening that may want to try to follow a similar kind of path or a similar kind of daily routine, are there any things that you would absolutely recommend that everyone must do, or is there something more flexible? Like I myself, for my daily routine, I meditate. I make sure to do a 20-minute meditation every morning. So are there certain things like should people definitely say affirmations in the morning, or is this something maybe a little bit more flexible depending on each individual?
Yeah, I think it applies to the individual.
Yeah, I think so too. What inspired you?
But
to
let me
do-
just say that I think when you say must do, I think everyone must give themselves that time before they start their day, before they engage with other people, to center themselves and be at peace for the day, to be in a peace state, a calm, peaceful, centered state of being.
I agree with that 100%.
So how you do that, the things that you do to do that, that's your choice.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Like for me, I started doing this probably about 2017 or so, and I mean, I've watched. My practice did change and evolve as I learned more things, but I've watched myself become a lot more sound-minded, I suppose you could say. And I've also noticed, and I'm going to let you speak on this too, that when I miss a day, I'm different that day. Like I'm very, I can sometimes have a hard time catching a hold of my peace. Or maybe things will just go wrong, and I'll hold on to that negativity a little bit harder than if I prepared myself for my day. So, how do you feel about that as well? Like when you miss a day, like what difference do you notice?
I wouldn't say that I miss a day, but I might not do all of those things every day. I might miss some of them or most of them sometimes. So I agree with what you're saying. Because for me also, it's a form of protection, because there's so much going on in the world that I believe we have to protect ourselves spiritually when we go out in the world and interact with other people. So yeah, when I get off balance, if I miss certain things, or even to me, even if I do everything, sometimes I feel off balance. So I have to, find a way to bring myself, to center myself again. And I think that's from outside influences. I think that happens to people. I think there's interactions or energies that can cause that.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely where energy flows, energy goes, but the idea of what we pay attention to, what we're putting our attention towards, sometimes that's where things are going to go. And I also heard that, if you allow that momentum to build, so there may be something that might have been bothering you the night before and it will carry over into the next day, and then that momentum's already built, so it can be very difficult to get that momentum back. Do you have a practice or a solution that you sometimes lean on to kind of, when you're in a negative momentum, kind of slow that momentum?
No thoughts. No thoughts, no ego.
Wow, that's powerful. The idea of no thoughts. So
thoughts is from the mind. So our mind is always chattering and telling us negative things. So when I find myself doing that, I say no thoughts. It took a while to get to this point, but I can say no thought. I literally say no thoughts, no ego. I'm here now, and whatever I was thinking negative goes away.
wow.
And then you replace it with positive, uplifting thoughts.
So you find yourself in that negative momentum, so then you'll stop. Then you tell yourself no thoughts, that helps you clear your mind. And then you'll go ahead and now take those negative thoughts as they clear out, replace them with positive thoughts.
And for me, they clear out. They just disappear immediately. It's not a slow process. It's just like gone. No thoughts, gone.
Now, when you first started doing this practice, did you find it difficult at first for those thoughts to disappear? Or was it something that you gradually had to get better at?
Yeah, like I was saying, it took time to get to this point. What I used to do, this is from learning from other people, on YouTube, reading books. But what I used to do up until I would say about 2 years ago, I would say I will not torture myself with thoughts and negative chatter, because that's what the mind does. But that didn't work like this does. This works for me. No thoughts, no ego, because our ego, wants us to be the hero in whatever situations are in our lives, and in our minds we act out what we said or did, and what other people said or did, or what we're gonna say or do, and what we think other people are gonna say or do, and all the stuff that the mind, these thoughts that just come. I can just say no thoughts, no ego. I am here now in the moment. I'm here now. And I learned that from watching someone named Muji on YouTube. Yes, I learned that from Muji. And he's similar to, maybe, I don't want to say similar, but to give people an idea, Sadhguru, I think his name.
Yeah.
He does the same kind of thing. Meditation, speaking to large groups of people, and just guidelines on how to just be. And another thing that goes along with that is that we have self and we have the mind. So myself, my being, is not of the mind. It's just always here. It's just something that's always here. The mind is part of our body, but our self, holds body.
So the being holds the body.
So my being is who tells mind no thoughts. My being is the one that says no thoughts to the mind.
Yeah, that kind of talks to Jay Shetty. He had a mantra when he was a Buddhist monk, which was, "I am not the body, I am not the mind." You know, and he used that to kind of snap himself out of a bad financial situation he was in, where he came back from being a Buddhist monk. He comes from a traditional, I guess, Indian family, and they were very strict on what you need to be. He said that in his family, you could either be a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure. So he came back as a Buddhist monk, so he came back as a failure. So to snap himself out of that teaching from his family, he said this mantra every day in the mirror: "I'm not the body, I'm not the mind." To separate himself from those negative chatters. That really talks to that. So that's a very powerful way of thinking.
And I think, for me, it's a way of being. It's not what I'm thinking. It's a way of being. It just is.
I am.
Being, yeah, I am being.
Right.
That's one of my affirmations. I am being. Being holds body.
And
that's very powerful for me personally, because it just makes me, it's like, it makes me feel so rooted and centered that whatever comes at me, it's like off my shoulders.
And so I know we have a similar belief, and one thing I do believe is that we are all connected, and we're all connected from one source. And so what it sounds like to me is when you have this belief of the body, is it the being holds the body?
Being holds body.
The being holds body. It seems like when you come to that understanding, you're very much connecting to what I call the source. Some may call it God. So that's what's happening there.
And it's saying that source is you.
Yes,
you are source.
Right, yeah. I 100% agree with that. Because I think, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name now. Deepak Chopra, he described us as all being part of one tapestry, but each individual is more like a wrinkle in the tapestry versus being its own, separate individual. So, truly none of us are, truly separate. Some believe that we only see ourselves as separate because of survival reasons. We come on earth in these bodies, we see, we touch, we taste, we smell, we feel. And that allows us to be like, oh, I am me and you are you. We're separate, But in true life, there's no separation.
See, and I'm not that far. If that means, I don't know. That doesn't resonate with me. So I don't know if that means I'm not that far in my spiritual awakening or being, or if that's just not what it is. Because to me, there are differences to me amongst human beings. But I do agree some of us are in a more mundane way to put it, cut from the same cloth, or like you said, Chopra said, wrinkles in the same tapestry. I believe there are some of us are like that, and then I believe there's probably different tapestries. There's people that are different.
Well, just before we started recording, we definitely talked about how you and I, we definitely see the vibe, and we're on the same wavelength. So I definitely believe there's different vibrations. So we vibrate on a different level than maybe some other people might vibrate. And I definitely agree with that for sure. So back to daily practice. What inspired you? I know you touched a little bit on the idea of you listen to others on YouTube, maybe people a bit more developed in their spiritual practice. What else would you say inspires you to take on a daily practice, or to take on the specific actions that you do during your daily practice?
I think empower myself, to heal myself. Yeah, those are the main things I can think of when thinking of that question. And that's what I feel like my intentions are, is to be empowered and to be healed.
Well, I could definitely say, from knowing you personally, I would say you've done revolutions around yourself for the last several years. I watched you improve as a person. You become so grounded. It's such a joy to be around you. You are a wonderful person.
Likewise,
folks don't know,
my brother.
you folks don't know
Little
my
brother.
sister. She's always been a highly intelligent, highly genuine individual. With a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, I would say. Maybe I can get away with saying that because I'm a brother. Maybe a little, sometimes short-tempered. I think we've all been guilty of that, especially myself. But to see you now, I mean, it's amazing. And I really do lean on you also as an example of a very grounded spiritual person. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I hope that we can help some people out here today. I think being an example to others, I think is probably the best way to teach. And I don't really consider myself a teacher per se. I'm telling myself an episode anyway, by the way. But I definitely see myself as someone who's learned a lot over the last several years myself, through my own spiritual practice. Since 2017, since our mother introduced me to Deepak Chopra's book, 7 Spiritual Laws to Success. And it's been great. So I know I've definitely benefited from the spiritual practice. And Lori, thank you for sharing with us how you've benefited. So before we leave, are there any parting words of advice or wisdom you'd like to give to our audience?
Always learn. Always be willing to learn. I feel like I'm always gonna be learning.
And we never stop learning, do we? Right?
Never stop
One of my
learning.
favorite sayings is, be satisfied with what is, yet eager for what is next. So it never stops. So just keep moving forward, keep learning, and keep loving. So thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Balance That. I love you all. Lori, thank you so much. And of course, I love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
All right, guys. See y'all next week. Peace. Woo.